Hey, what's up? It's Chad Altman, here to do a video today to show you that if you apply these techniques in this video today, you will then be able to become more securely attached. This video is going to be aimed at somebody that is more leaning toward anxious attachment. I will later do a video on avoidant attachment and how to heal there. You see, it took me a long time in my life to realize that I even had anxious attachment. So anxious attachment is usually developed from an abandonment wound or a part in your childhood where you felt neglected. And so from that, you might find yourself in relationships with partners becoming anxiously attached. And what that means is if they do something and you feel like they're going to leave you, you will chase after them. Or if, say, they're out with their friends, you get this feeling inside and it just won't go away, or you get this high sense of jealousy or something in some situations. And the feeling of your partner leaving you just drives you unbelievably crazy, like literally crazy. I can't tell you how many times I felt in situations that I was going to lose my partner, and it drove me absolutely insane. I felt this like ball of energy inside of me, like festering is the best way that I can describe it. And I had no idea what was going on. Chances are that maybe you've experienced this. Now, doing the work, leaning into the wound, and even finding that I had a wound took so much time. I have to, in the first step to cure any anxious attachment is to realize that you have a childhood wound. It all comes from childhood. Any kind of anxious attachment or attachment style is developed when we are children. And so secure attachment comes when we realize we had a home dynamic where we were loved, we were never neglected, we didn't have any feelings of having to work or earn the affection or love of our parents. They were there for us consistently. They never left. We didn't feel like they abandoned us. That is secure attachment. Now, anxious attachment feels like there's something missing and I have to hold on to this in order to feel safe. At some point in our childhood, we felt unsafe, and we developed a pattern of anxious attachment. Now, in order to heal that, we have to get to the point of, one, like I already stated, acknowledging that there is a childhood wound. That's the very first step. Now, the second step to that is we're going to have to realize that there's things that make us scared. There's parts of the relationship where this feeling of fear, scared, comes up with the dynamic with our partner. And what happens is there's a variety of things that can happen. For me, what happened specifically is when my partner I felt scared, my in turn was to close the distance. Because what I'm fighting for is to feel secure in the relationship. And when I don't feel secure in the relationship, I freak out. You see, if you're in a relationship and you're secure, if you're anxious attachment and you're with somebody that's avoidant, here's what happens. The avoidant person, the person that's anxious chases after because they're scared. And the person that's avoidant sees this behavior and they in turn run away because they're like, no. They have a different type of attachment which pulls them away. And so this happens. And both people end up in a disaster. And I was in a relationship like that. So I would get anxious and I would be fearful and I would be afraid and I would chase after my partner and she would run away. And we would both be in this cycle. And it was just so toxic. But we have to learn as anxious attachment people that getting scared is normal. And it's not a means of, we don't have to beat ourselves up over it. It's literally the childhood wound resurfacing, trying to protect us. And so getting scared is going to be normal. And we have to realize that we have to accept that we're looking for security. We have to accept that in these moments that are hard, like maybe your girlfriend goes out with her girlfriends at night and she's gone past the time that she said or whatever, and you are not good in the moment. Well, you have to accept that you need security in that moment. And so that brings me to my next step, and that's we have to communicate with our partner. The very first, when I started my journey and I started healing, I was deep in thought and reading in a book, and I learned this information about myself, and I was like really trying to work on it. And the first thing it said was, you need to communicate with your partner how you feel. And I was like, hell no. If I do that, I'm going to scare her away. And then I'm going to lose her. And then it was like reading the words on the page of the correct action to take was even debilitating to me. And I felt like, what am I going to do? This is even triggering my anxiousness. And so I got anxious reading the book on even how to heal. It was unbelievable. But I took the corrective action regardless of how I felt. And I communicated with my partner, hey, I feel really anxious right now. Like I've learned this thing about myself, and like I'm afraid that I'm going to lose you. And it makes me feel really, really, really horrible. And then what happens is your partner, hopefully you have chosen a partner that has a better attachment style, that is secure in attachment, that can communicate well, that loves you. Even if your partner is avoidant, it's still okay, but you have to be acknowledging both parts that you guys play in the dynamic and being able to grow towards secure attachment individually and then coming together. And that is, so despite of what I thought, I communicated well with my partner at the time. And what happened was the craziest thing happened. I thought she was going to be like, that is gross. Get away from me. I can't believe you're so anxious. But I was so pleasantly surprised that the partner that I was with at the time was like, Chad, I love you. Thank you so much for telling me that. I will try my best to communicate better when I am out so that I know that you're feeling okay. And then what happens over time is like, I begin to feel a soothing. And initially, that soothing comes from my partner. And my partner communicates these things well with me, and then I feel a relief. And then I learn how to begin to self-soothe. See, I start to realize that the rabbit in the mouse inside the wheel in my head that's going 100 miles an hour, like I start to realize that that's not true. This person's not going anywhere. The thing that I'm telling myself right now is not my reality. I am not living in the moment, in the present. I am all the way in the future right now based on my past. And so I have to get present in the now. And once I root myself in the present moment and realize that this thing that I am freaking out about is not actually happening, because most of the time, I will say 99.9% of the time, the reason that you're feeling anxious is not based on what is currently happening. It's something that you've created. You see, our mind is completely and entirely so powerful that it will literally make us believe our present circumstances are true when they are absolutely false. So choosing a supportive partner is so important to this growth process. And the last but not least is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is what I kind of just went over. It's when I feel this way, I tell myself this. So when she does not come home or reach out to me when she's out with friends the way that she said that she was going to, and I don't hear from her, what in turn is I tell myself, she's leaving me. She's cheating on me. She's with somebody else. She doesn't love me. She's going to leave me. And then I reaffirm to myself the abandonment wound or the childhood wound. And then I create this false reality that this has actually happened to me. And I stoke the fire of anxiety inside of me, and I go down the rabbit hole. But instead, what we have to learn to do is stop the confirmation bias. We have to realize this isn't really happening to me right now. Thank you so much, inner child, for making me aware of this, or coming to the surface and making me aware that I don't feel safe right now. And we acknowledge it and say, thank you for making me feel unsafe and like making me realize that I'm scared in this moment. But the truth and the reality is right now, I am safe. I am okay. And then communicating with our partner the way that we feel and how that feels for us. And then learning to self-soothe. And what that means is sitting in the feeling and not trying to run from it. But then at the same time, doing something. Like, I was really good at doing things. Like, oh, I can go for a walk, I can go outside, I could do, but I was not good at sitting in the darkness. So I started to begin to choose to sit in the darkness for longer periods of time and allow the anxiety within myself to melt. But it's also okay to go for a walk. Wherever you are in your journey, you have to love yourself in that moment and where you're at. Judgment is not the right thing when we're working on trying to grow within ourselves. Everything is happening and unfolding just as it should. So wherever you're at today in your attachment style, whether it be secure, maybe you're anxious, maybe you're avoidant, love yourself for where you're at. And embrace the journey and realize that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel anxious, and communicate with everyone around you the way that you feel, and know that you are loved regardless of what's happening or what's happening to you, and that you can arrive at this place where you can become whole and secure in yourself and in your relationships. So if you like this video today, do me a favor, go down there and hit that like button and subscribe for more content coming out every single day. I love you guys. Stay blessed.